2-minute warning, folks. 2-minute warning.
First risk to cheat is honesty. And maybe that's why places I can go.
Okay, everybody ready to go? We need everybody out of the kitchen.
Can I just do a sound check? This is Martin Davis.
Gotcha. Okay, who are we missing? Matthew Jack. Okay, is he online? No?
Yes, I am.
Excellent. Hi, Matthew. Confirmation of quorum. Yes. Call the meeting to order. We will acknowledge that we're located on the traditional territory of the Liquitat people. Adoption of public agenda. Thank you. Second? Thank you. Petition delegation, Sunshine Coast Forest Landscape Plan. Please, come up, grab a seat, introduce yourselves. You have 10 minutes, folks.
Just 1 second, I'm having trouble getting it.
We're just looking for the clicker to run the slide. Oh, here it comes. Thank you.
We're very high tech here. You say click and it magically changes. Oh, no, sorry.
Voice active.
I'll start then. Thank you very much for having us here today. We're bringing a sort of delegation of partners to present to you on the Sunshine Coast Forest Landscape Plan, representatives from the Ministry of Forests, and partner First Nations. My name is Ryan Jordan.
Oh, we're not able to hear the room. The room's on mute.
Just pull it.
Check. Can you hear me now, Mark?
Yep, we can hear you now.
Okay. Apologies for that. My name is Ryan Jordan. I'm the Director of Strategic Initiatives at the Coast Area Ministry of Forests, and I'll allow my two colleagues here to introduce themselves.
Hi there, my name is Joanna Dobson. I'm a forester for Hamelco First Nation, one of the partner nations for the FLP.
Good afternoon. My name is Bob Craven, a professional forester, also working on the Sunshine Coast FLP on behalf of Hamelco.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Nice to see some friendly faces in here. Good to see Director Bowini again. Remember visiting with you at the last open house we had a couple of years ago. So the progress on the project has moved forward a little bit more slowly than we had originally anticipated, but we are just on the cusp of rolling out for public engagement. Ideally, we would have brought materials to provide to you and the rest of the community, but we're just a little held up on some logistical challenges, but anticipating that we'll roll that out very quickly. So just moving forward here. Click. Oh. Okay. Backing up. Sorry about this. I think I'm backing up. No, I'm not.
The button down below.
Okay. Operator.
Well, that was a very quick presentation.
Okay. All right. So, yes, there will be a quiz. So I'm sure not all of you have a full in-depth understanding of forestry in the province, but trying to keep this concise, we're going through significant transformation. And there is significant interest in working very closely with our partner communities, especially that of the Indigenous rights holders, First Nations. So we're now into this place where we're trying to develop forest outcomes for forest resource values and guidelines for how operators act on the land base in partnership with First Nations, as well as getting the perspective of public. So on the slide here, I'm just sort of trying to show you that there's a significant transformation in how we've progressed into this partnership role with First Nations. So this is the scope of the area for the Sunshine Coast Forest Landscape Plan. As you can see on the map, the timber supply area for the Sunshine Coast overlaps with the western portion of the Strathcona Regional District's boundaries. So we're here today to present to you on the status of the project, given you have significant interest in roughly a third to a quarter of the regional district. As I mentioned previously, the province is working directly with partner nations on this project. Key rights holders in the Sunshine Coast timber supply area, starting from the north, the Hamalco Nation. Both Bob and Joanna are here representing the nation, and online we have representatives from the Tla'amin Nation based out of Powell, or in adjacent to Powell River, obviously Shishal and Squamish as well. The Klahoos First Nation are currently not partners in the project, but they have significant core territory that overlap with the Sunshine Coast timber supply area and the plant area. I've touched on this before. The main driver here in moving to forest landscape planning is to advance reconciliation with First Nations and meet our obligations under the Declaration Act. We want to and are, in this case, working in full partnership with these First Nations. The idea is to co-design this plan and then adapt into the future as more data and information is available to get us a better handle on all of the different forest resource values that we're managing through this plan. So it is adaptive management. There's requirements to provide reports every 5 years. The chief forester is the statutory decision maker, and it should be updated every 10 years and will drive forest operations plans that are designed by licensees for forest practices in the operating area. Would you add anything? The other key driver in the Sunshine Coast Forest Landscape Plan, as it was originally conceived almost 5 years ago now, was seen as a key tool for implementation of the Old Growth Strategic Review. There's further to that, there's obviously direct linkage to working in a collaborative relationship with First Nations. But as I've also touched on, we're in transformation, and this is a significant paradigm shift in how forests are viewed and managed, and we're doing that in a partnership way with the First Nations. And essentially, the forest landscape planning is a key vehicle for rolling out these commitments within the scope of the Forest and Range Practices Act. There's still some ongoing confusion amongst many stakeholders that forest landscape planning will have an influence on land use planning, and it may in some cases, but it is not the deciding factor on land use planning. So there's a difference between establishing a park or formally designated conservation area and enhance conservation measures within the forest, the provincial forest. So there's dramatic difference between those two, and that's one of the things that I really wanted to touch on here today. Joe, Bob. So in terms of content, again, the scope is around forest resource values within the power of the Forest and Range Practices Act. It focuses on forestry activities and defines how we approach watershed management, incorporate Indigenous cultural heritage values, including cedar stewardship. There's a significant component around landscape level ecological integrity. Again, that's a significant factor, not just for First Nations cultural values, but as I'm sure for all of you are who spend any time in the forest or receive the benefits of the forest, like drinking water or wildlife habitat. Those factors are obviously included in that and considered in that as well. There's a riparian management section which defines practices around all classes of stream. There's a significant component around timber objectives, and essentially how much timber is available for harvest, as well as components around wildfire and reduced reduction within wildland urban interface areas, as well as recreation. What it doesn't do, again, is establish formal conservation areas or develop strategies to manage for recreation features or uses that aren't necessarily already established or by some other existing mechanism. Anything? So we're getting near the end here now. This slide is intended to provide a little bit more detail in terms of what I touched on in the previous slide, a little bit more information around the contents of the plan, but also give you a sense of how those different forest resource values balance out over the life of the plan. We are actually working within a 300-year time horizon for this plan. What it does in the short term, though, is give us specific operating guidelines to achieve objectives and sort of start changing the current conditions of those values over a 10-year horizon. So the plan's only for 10 years, but it plans out for 300 years and gives us the ability to adapt if we're not making the progress on those values and modify the strategies associated, or guidelines, as Bob would correct me, associated with achieving those outcomes. As you can see here, some of you might be leaning a little bit more to the environmental or conservation-oriented values. Significant enhancements in some of those, and others take a dramatically longer time to influence. Ecological health is significantly enhanced, but it takes time to do that. You're not going to see huge dramatic gains in ecological health over the next 10 years. What it does do, though, is influence the short-term fiber supply, but it's somewhat perceived. We're using a lot of very advanced forest estate modeling tools to get a very good sense of what happens to the short-term timber supply, and then extrapolate what happens to revenues, gross domestic product, and jobs even associated with that. But it's a modeling tool, and it's not as real as what happens on the ground. If I can say anything about the impacts to short-term fiber supply, I think that based upon the modeling done so far, we will have a very close resemblance to the amount of fiber that's currently or has historically been harvested off of the timber supply area over the past 10 years. So the impacts at the real level to jobs or GDP or revenues, I can't see being all that dramatic. So the structures plan is formed around outcomes and guidelines. The outcomes are higher level, just describing what we want to achieve. This is for all the forest resource values that are identified within the plan, and then more detailed planning guidelines to describe how we want to achieve those. So for example, we have high level plan around what the vision is for, or the outcome that we're striving to achieve for riparian management. And then within that, there's specific guidelines for different classes of streams and the essentially the buffers or the reserve zones associated with that. That's just one example. From an implementation perspective, the forest landscape plan will essentially be converted into a legal order established by the Office of the Chief Forester, and that's after a recommendation from the Associate Deputy Minister, my boss. And the order will set out the legal outcomes and the planning guidelines. The nations will will essentially need to be either endorsing or in some form of non-opposition to the plan. And following establishment of the plan, licensees, operators on the land base that hold tenure in the timber supply area will have 6 to 12 months to develop a forest operations plan. The forest operations plan will identify where the licensees plan to harvest within the next 5 years. So you have that predictability that we're all looking for. That's a big driver for forest landscape planning, is operational predictability. The public, First Nations, stakeholders on the land base know where operations are happening. So in terms of next steps, as I touched on earlier in the presentation, we are rolling out for public engagement ideally by early October, but could be delayed to mid-October. We're already up to our eyeballs in engagement with licensees, lots of back and forth conversations happening there, and they're giving us some good advice on how to essentially put the plan into practical implementation. They're also raising concerns about what's practically feasible and not. So lots of good conversations that are happening there. Generally, the plan is to bring forward a recommendation to the Office of the Chief Forester by spring of 2026. Questions? Thank you.
Director Wally.
I've got a question for you. I think I heard you say that there won't be any significant reduction in cut. What about cost per cubic meter? Is that going to increase with all these new?
That's a good question. Generally speaking, yeah. So the cost per cubic meter might actually increase, but what's happening on the ground now in general is very similar to what's being drafted in the forest landscape plan. The costs that operators are incurring aren't necessarily fully accounted for in the market pricing system. That's the system that establishes stumpage. So through the tools that we have within the regulatory structure, we could potentially have a better grasp on the actual operating costs associated with this plan and give a better reflection of those costs within the market pricing system.
Any additional questions? Director Von Esch.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for coming in and sharing this with us. I'm Mark Van Esch, I'm the Regional Director for Cortes Island, and you mentioned Klahoose isn't a formal partner on this, but they have significant territory in this area. Just wondering if you could provide some background on what input they are having and how they would be consulted.
We have had intermittent participation from Klahoose. They're a significant operator on the land base, and they do have some concerns associated with the changes in practices as proposed in the plan for their economic operations. So they're wanting a little bit more clarity on what's proposed in the plan, and there's some parallel conversations between the Klahoose and the ministry, which I can't get into, to find a way to essentially achieve a common understanding and ensure that their interests are still protected, but also essentially get their support for endorsement of the plan.
Thank you. And if they don't, if it doesn't get to that place where they endorse it, what is the process or what happens there?
That's a good question. We have a few options to explore with them. And I think at the worst case scenario is that we have to essentially a donut hole out a portion of the Clahoos main territory from the plan area.
Director Smythe.
Thank you. Can we go back to the slide with the, well, I guess you already took the slide down, but with the components on it, by chance, with the plan? Or am I too late?
Is that the green and the orange?
We had all the different components of the currently changed regulations, and a lot of them I looked at, and quite a few of those are already in place. So my question was, what's going to change in those? Like the watershed management. There's numerous ones in there. Cultural significance for areas. What's going to change in those? Are you changing the way those regulations are, or are they?
Thanks for your question. Yeah, so in most cases, there is a alignment between the FERPA values and what you see in FPPR and with the FLP. But in most cases, there are additional protections, changed practices related to those values. So as an example of one value, so you'll see riparian, that's obviously covered in FPPR currently, but in many cases, the current streams that are identified as classified streams, they would have larger reserve zones in many cases, and then riparian values that aren't currently identified in FPPR have been identified with added protection. So added protection on things like estuaries, for example. So there's just, in almost every category, you'll see an enhancement of protection. And in no case does it go below the current protection.
Okay, yeah. So you're just enhancing all the areas. So you can have different rules for different areas.
That could be the case. In the case of Hamalco and Butte Inlet, there's things called identified and deferred watersheds, and that's not the case in Butte Inlet, but it might be the case in other parts of the Sunshine Coast TSA. So in some cases, there has been some variations between nations about how planning guidelines have been set out. So we've built that in. So in some cases, you may be doing something different in Tla'amin territory versus Maujet-Mushlet. I mean, not Maujet, but Hamalco. So anyway, there is some variation. So.
Okay, and this is just going to be forest practices, right? This doesn't affect mineral rights or anything like that?
That's right. There's what's called the Vancouver Island Land Use Plan, and that was a more I believe there's a more holistic plan that would deal with all sorts of issues like mining and tourism and broader scale. This is strictly on forest management.
Okay. And one last question. Apologies. So once the nations approve a plan, which is great, is that plan then set? Because my experience with nations is just like every other level of government. Yeah, but they have an election, they can have a change in government, and all of a sudden policies shift and change. Like, how do companies manage that, right? If you have a forest plan, you have a deal in place, and then there's an election and a change of direction. Is the plan stay in place, or are things going to be changed?
Well, the plan is stable for the 5 years or the 10 years, but there is opportunities to amend. And that's why, in this case, we're hoping there'll be a very aggressive monitoring plan to see if things aren't working. Licensees come to us and say, this does not work for riparian, this doesn't work operationally, there is a big issue here. There will be a review process and an opportunity to change things. But my understanding is the plan will be stable.
Okay, cool. Because that's one of the big feedbacks I hear is that, companies come in, we're like, okay, we're going to do this project. We're going to need to invest, I'll throw a number, $5 million into it. They need to have a plan as to what the payback is that going to be if the plan changes halfway through, because politics is politics in every level of government, right?
What we're hoping for, and maybe Mark Sloan can speak to it too, but we're really hoping that this plan will provide some certainty to the licensees, because in some cases licensees go in with a plan and then there's different thoughts from the nations about how things should be done. In this particular case, the landscape level issues, the stand level issues, everything's addressed in the plan, and there's that clarity for the licensees. So we're hoping that there won't be as much back and forth and all that, because issues on watershed, on fish, on recreation, on wildfire, and that will be addressed. And the licensees will provide a plan that's consistent with it. And we're hoping that will provide some, some certainty for the licensees so they don't spend millions of dollars to find out that actually they can't go into that watershed.
Yeah, thank you. The key word I was looking for was certainty. Thanks, thank you.
It would be useful just to qualify also that the structure of FLPs, and this is true across the province, they're designed to be to engage with adaptive management. So Ryan described outcomes and planning guidelines, and the idea there is that we set what our goals are through these outcomes and our desired future forest condition, and the planning guidelines is the vehicle to get there. And it's up to the chief forester to assess through a vigorous monitoring program whether the planning guidelines are getting us to the outcomes. If they're not, then we will expect changes in the plan because we'll have to adjust the planning guidelines to better reflect our ability to achieve those outcomes. And that will be done on a 10-year basis. So there is potential for fluctuation in the way that the plans will be renewed over those 10-year timeframes, but it's because of the philosophy of adaptive management.
Well, thank you very much for your presentation today. Oh, Director Mawhinney has a question.
Thank you, Chair. I wanted to say thank you so much for the presentation, and my question is not complicated. It was just that it sounds like you will be rolling out an opportunity for public engagement on this, and I was curious if you would be able to send communication to the board so that we would all be apprised of it and be able to share that with our constituents once it's public.
Absolutely.
Great, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Motion to receive?
So moved.
Thank you. Sorry, who second? Director Mawhinney. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, motion is carried. Adoption of minutes.
Adoption of the board, August 2025.
Second.
Thank you. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, motion is carried. Business arising. Director Mawhinney.
Thank you, Chair. I do have an item of business arising from the minutes of the August 20th board meeting. The item called the land availability for housing on Quadra Island. I had a chance to think about this item over the last month, and the item stemmed from a report that I first submitted to the Electoral Area Services Committee and a motion which was made and amended at this table. And the motion ultimately wasn't supported for a staff report to identify any land that may be suitable for affordable and attainable housing development on Quadra Island. And I've sort of given that some reflection and have a much more streamlined and very particular motion that I'm hoping to make that hopefully my fellow directors will feel is more appropriate. So if I may.
You may.
Thank you, Chair.
Director Kerr.
Thank you, Chair. And I'm just wondering, motions on the floor are always discouraged, and I'm thinking it should possibly be in the form of a notice of motion rather than a motion.
I would suggest we should do that more often than we not. I recommend it often because, directors don't have the opportunity to, think and consider about a motion and before they're voting on it a few minutes later. I'm not also 100% sure that the inspiration of a new motion should come out of business arising from the minutes. If you have a subsequent motion, I think that can be new business. That's my personal opinion. Board can decide on that, but it's up to the will of the board too. Again, if it's notice of motion that folks should be given the availability to consider, that's something that can happen certainly.
Director Mawhinney.
Thank you, Chair. The reason that I arose this under this item is that on the agenda, it states, following adoption of the previous meeting minutes, the chair will provide an opportunity for directors to introduce further resolutions in respect of matters contained in the minutes that are not otherwise scheduled for consideration on the current agenda. So that's where I took my understanding of why I would raise this here. If it's not the will of the board to discuss this here, then I'm sure you'll let me know. So
Yeah, no, I'm not disagreeing. I think it might be more appropriate under new business. Semantics, it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. The board can, choose to vote on the motion. So I'll just leave it at that.
okay, well, I did provide the motion in advance to Edith, and it is on the screen for everybody. And the motion that I would like to make is that staff prepare a report which identify public lands within a reasonable distance from the village centers of Harriet Bay and Kwathiaski Cove that may be suitable for affordable and attainable housing development on Quadra Island, and options for moving forward with development if parcels are identified. And if there is a seconder, I would like to speak to it.
Second, Davis.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Go
So
ahead.
I did hear from some of my fellow directors last month that perhaps the motion under discussion was too broad and that developers are who we should be leaning on for development, and narrowing the scope of the requested report will hopefully assuage the concerns from some of the directors in that regard. I wanted to let everyone know that Quadra Island is a beautiful and rural island, which is attractive to folks from around the world as both a tourist and retirement destination. In order to have a diverse, sustainable community, we need housing at many price points, and working with a nonprofit and the SRD's regional housing service could potentially fill this need. That's the goal of this report that I'm looking for. You may recall that staff brought forward a report a few months ago outlining the ways the regional district can work with nonprofit societies to develop housing. And that report request came from me because I wanted the knowledge to share with my community. I've really seen in other rural island communities that a land donation provides an incredible kickstart to a housing project. And I wanted to say that land is an expensive requirement, which could be missed if suitable Crown land can be identified, and the many steps and hoops, which I know will be involved, could be negotiated. I know it's not a quick or easy solution, but if we start now, we'll get there a lot faster than if we don't. And I'd also like to add that we recently had the official Shovels in the Soil kickoff to the Just Like Home and Workforce Housing Project in Campbell River. The project is super exciting, and it's taken years to get to this point and some excellent partnerships to get it off the ground. It's also built on land which the Strathcona Regional District hasn't had to pay for, so we know what a benefit this can be. All areas within the Strathcona Regional District are facing housing pressures. This request is one of the ways I'm working to find housing solutions for Quadra Island. And just as a reminder, our CAO did state at the last meeting that the report will be done through the Electoral Area Planning Service, so it wouldn't be funded by the municipalities. And I'm really hopeful that you'll support this motion for report on Crown land for attainable and affordable housing on Quadra Island. Thank you.
Thank you. Further discussion. Director Sinnott.
Yeah, I think this was something the city of Campbell River pointed out to our area director, that a lot of these things aren't going to be just identified by Crown land, or I see the motion says public land, which I find somewhat vague. The regional district had land available. It wasn't free. They acquired it at one point and paid a price, and they held on to it. But we pointed out that if you want to work for not-for-profits and various organizations, a lot of these organizations already have identified areas that they want to develop. They're probably held by private landowners. They can make arrangements with respect to these private landowners in return for like charitable donations and things. This report's not going to capture all those opportunities. So that is why we opposed it the last time, because we didn't think the output of this report would be sufficient to what the director is actually requesting. Because a lot of this information you come from actually your personal knowledge of the organizations, their connections, their interest in developing land, as well as knowing the people in town that may be interested in doing those charitable receipt donation types for land. So again, beyond what the staff is going to come with us with a potential, we might acquire this piece of land to do something on, we're going to miss a whole bunch. And that's why we didn't support this from the city of Campbell River, because we see it progressing in a very different way within the city. So if you're not familiar with how it's done, because I've been involved with a lot of not-for-profits that do this, we realize that it's the personal relationships with all the different not-for-profits. It's all the different relationships that you have, and knowing the different people who are landowners, who have sort of these ideas of doing planned giving, the community foundations, the various societies in town, and just looking for public land for which Again, I'm not sure we're going to look for provincial land. We're going to look for, I guess, realistically, the only other public land, or federal crown land, which I can't imagine there's much at all in the area. I mean, it could be a very short report, but it's not going to get us anywhere. And so I'm opposed just because I think it could be a better approach if we discuss it differently.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. You may not know that I attend most of the meetings of the Discovery Islands Affordable Housing Society, and I contribute my knowledge and support however I can. And that organization is run strictly by volunteers off the side of people's desks who are also working full-time on other projects. And for working with them was actually, that group had identified that finding crown land would be a really great benefit to their organization, or finding land would be an excellent benefit. And they actually, one of their members discovered that there was a piece of public land in Harriet Bay, and that was the piece that we discussed with the school board in 2024. And ultimately, the school board wasn't interested in releasing that 5-acre hooked parcel. So I also just want to assure you that there are many other avenues that I am exploring. And for instance, I wrote a director's report just a couple of months ago and shared it with the community that there is an opportunity for tax-deductible receipts and for land donations. And I am reaching out to community in many ways. And this is just one of the things that I'm looking for. I don't think it's the only thing, but it is one piece that we here at this board can support. We obviously have a much different way of life on Quadra than we do in Campbell River. I'm not really familiar with the way that Campbell River does their housing projects, but this finding crown land that might be suitable would be very beneficial. And we do have a regional housing service here, which I think is great, so that the regional housing service can really be involved in supporting this project once, or if we do find land. Thanks.
Okay, any further discussion? Director Von Esch.
Thank you, Chair. As far as housing solutions, I think there's not just one way to get housing done. We need the private market. We need local government. We need nonprofits. And to make progress on housing, we need to push the envelope on all those aspects. And, we have a director here that's looking for a very simple staff report that's being paid for electoral areas. I'm happy to support that. This is something that we can easily do that could potentially identify a piece of land that 5 years from now we could be breaking ground on. So I think it's a very simple and reasonable and needed request, especially based on the fact that we've really identified that housing's a priority for this board. So I support it, and I hope others around the table will as well. Thank you.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? 4 opposed. Keep your hands up, please. I can't see online. Any opposed online? No? Okay, you got Director Chapman. Okay, the motion is carried. Public considerations, none. Notice of motion, none. Chair's report. We'll see you all at UBCM. Who's all going, by the way? Wow, that's most. Excellent. Okay, consent calendar. Committee Chair's report, Director Wally.
I move that the draft minutes September 3 meeting of the Electoral Area Service Committee be received.
Second.
Director Von Esch, discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, motion is carried. Director Jack, do you want to take number 2, please?
Number 2, Municipal Service Canada Committee, that draft minutes of September 3rd, 2025 meeting of the Municipal Services Committee be received.
Thank you. Director Senate, discussion? All in favor? Was that Director Senate? Who was it? Oh, Colburn. Sorry. Sounded like Director Sinnott. Okay. Director Sinnott.
I'll make a motion that the draft minutes of the August 20th, 2025 meeting of Strathcona Gardens Commission be received.
Second.
Director Colburn. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, motion is carried. Staff report, Director Chapman.
On the Regional Administration Support Services, that the report from the Chief Administrative Officer be received.
Discussion.
Mr. Chair, so we have John Baker. John, I was gonna attempt to say his title, but I get confused to what it is, so I'll let him speak to it. But John Baker is the position that we hired for the Regional Fire Support Admin. John was hired earlier in the year, and the board expressed a desire to have a presentation from John, and so we gave John a few months to get his feet underneath him, get something accomplished, and John's put a presentation forward and for the board, and I'm sure he'll be happy to answer any questions as well.
Thank you, Mr. Leach, for that. And good afternoon, directors. Good afternoon, Chair. Thank you for the opportunity today. I've got a short PowerPoint presentation to go through with you guys. Before I do that, I thought maybe I'd just kind of give you a little bit of my background, just so you kind of know, you can put some facts to the names. So I was born and raised here in Campbell River, attended high school here, graduated from Southgate in the late 1980s. Shortly after that, I joined the Campbell River Fire Department as a volunteer. Really enjoyed what I got into, decided that I wanted to pursue that as my career. So I started looking for some training options. I found a fire academy down in the US that I attended for a couple years down there. After I graduated from academy, I moved back home and started applying to fire departments on the island and the Lower Mainland. And I was fortunate enough to get a job here with Campbell River. That was 38 years ago, so it's been a while. I'm still very passionate about what I do. And when this position was posted last fall, I thought it would be a great fit for me, and I could take some of this passion that I have and make some improvements with some of the fire departments in the regional district and work with some of the fire chiefs there and just make some improvements to how they run their programs. So my wife's a teacher in Campbell River. She's currently at Pinecrest. She teaches grade 1. And I've got 2 boys that also live in Campbell River. We went through the whole minor sports scene in Campbell River, including hockey and baseball, and I spent a lot of time coaching in those fields as well. So I'm really passionate about fundraising. I've been involved heavily with the BC Professional Firefighters Burn Fund, taking part in multiple fundraising events for that. And I did a lot of work with minor baseball, just making some improvements to their organization as well. So I have a pretty good background on the North Island, and I feel like I can offer a lot of opportunities and skills to some of these smaller departments.
So there might be a few folks that don't know the gentleman beside you, another new hire here.
Yes.
So
my apologies for that.
That's okay, but good 2 for 1 here and introduce the new guy.
Joining me today is our newly appointed fire chief, Kelly Belfler. So,
hello, everybody. My story is very similar to John's. Graduated from Southgate and joined the department a year after John, and the rest is history, as they say. I'll let John take it away. We have 10 minutes, so we want to get that done as quickly as we can. Thanks very much.
Okay, so first slide here. When I moved into this position in December, I just wanted to start building some relationships with some of the fire chiefs in the region. So I reached out to everybody, made some trips into some of the smaller areas. I met with the fire chiefs there. I kind of did a light audit of their departments. I wanted to learn a lot about their operations, kind of where they were with their equipment, any improvements that they wanted to work on. And, I checked in on their apparatus. I wanted to see where they were with their membership as far as the recruitment and retention, because I know that can be sometimes challenging in some of these smaller municipalities. And I just kind of did a general overall needs assessment. And from there, I did a bit of a summary and came up with kind of a list on areas that I felt we could make some improvements individually as departments and also as a region as a whole. So the next few slides here are just going to highlight some of the training opportunities that have been happening since I moved into this role. In March, I participated in what I call a burn to learn over on Cortez. This was a great opportunity for their department. As you probably know, if they have to leave the island to do training, there's obviously a lot of cost incurred with that. So Chief McKenty over there was able to acquire this structure, and following some of the NFPA guidelines, we were able to make it safe to use as a training instructing day. So we got 2 days of live fire practice over there. It was a great opportunity to get some of their people through some live fire training, and we were able to do that on the island to help really reduce some of their costs. This next one, two things on this slide. So we brought a Marine firefighting course to Campbell River tailored for structural firefighting. This was funded through the Harbour Association of British Columbia, and they brought in a company called Non-Such Marine, two very well experienced individuals with over 30 years of serving time in the marine industry. So a lot of knowledge there for our crews to kind of lean on. We spent some time in the classroom, and then we were able to go down at the Discovery Harbour Federal Dock and do some scenarios down there. So it was a great opportunity again. We had good participation on this one. Sayward, Tassis, Oyster River, and Campbell River all had members attending. So it was well attended by the region. The next one on that slide is a wildfire BC course. It's a sprinkler protection course. So if you guys would have seen some footage from the Wesley Ridge fire, a lot of the same tactics and strategies that we were taught in this course were deployed there. So departments and regions will have a sprinkler protection unit that contains various equipment, small fire pumps, some ponds, some nozzles and hoses. And the structure crews will go in to areas where that wildfire is threatening structures, and they can put up these defense mechanisms. And basically what they're trying to achieve is they want to create a humidity bubble in that area just to kind of lower the risk to these structures. So it was very successful in the Wesley Ridge fire. The crews got in there and there were no structures lost. So pretty remarkable. And the crews down there did a fantastic job. So this training kind of focuses a little bit on that, and provides a lot of opportunity for, again, departments in the region to pick up on some excellent training. The next slide here, this just shows some training that our high angle rope rescue team was doing at the John Hart improvement project. So anytime there's a tower crane within our jurisdiction, we get notified through the British Columbia Construction Safety Alliance, and fire departments that are a member of that program, they can qualify through the technical high angle rope rescue program. We receive funding through that. That funding can go towards purchasing equipment and also providing equipment and training. So when we get notified of that, we are allowed to go in to where the tower crane is set up and do some training on there. So you can see here on this tower crane, we had crews at about 161 feet in height. That was the height of the crane. We can go over some rope rescue training. It's a great day for our guys just to kind of polish up and get prepared for those types of events. So that was that one. The next slide here just kind of summarizes what's coming up for the last part of the year. So we're going to focus on some medical training. That's going to be held here in Campbell River. This weekend, we've got a gentleman coming up from the U.S. who's a subject matter expert in structure fires, and he provides a course on reading smoke. And we've got good attendance from that as well. So Oyster River, Quadra Island, Tassus, Zabelis, and Campbell River will be in attendance for that. So I think we're expecting upwards of 80 firefighters for the day. So it should be pretty good. Chainsaw operator basic course that's provided through the BC Forest Safety Council. The gentleman's name is Steve Toloski. He's a bit of a well-known individual in the forest industry and is just a magician with the chainsaw. So he was in last week to provide the crews an opportunity to go through some training, and we're looking at continuing that later in the fall. The last one on that slide there is emergency vehicle operator course. So again, that's going to be offered out to the departments in the region. Campbell River is going to host that. Most of that training will be done in-house, and then we bring up a qualified instructor from Nanaimo out of Vieira, which is the Vancouver Island Emergency Response Academy, and that person will run everybody through the exam portion of the course. Okay, so these are just some of the projects that I'm working on right now with the regional district fire departments. In 2011, there was a draft mutual aid agreement that was proposed by the fire chiefs of the day. That agreement never got finalized. I'm not sure why that happened. Chief McKenty from Cortez brought this to the regional fire chiefs earlier this year, and I've been working with the chiefs in the region to kind of get a draft proposal finished off, and then we're going to take that to the policy makers to hopefully get that document signed. So that'll just allow a lot more kind of cross coverage if jurisdictions are involved in a major event and they need equipment or personnel. It'll allow us just to kind of seamlessly offer that assistance. The other one that I noticed right away when I was out doing my early introductions, critical incident stress management. So there's kind of a light framework right now within the region on different levels and different commitments from some of the departments. I feel like this is a very important topic for first responders. So I'm working on creating a regional team with maybe 2 or 3 members from each department, and they will be available to provide support after our crews are out dealing with traumatic events. The next one is our self-contained breathing apparatus. So Campbell River is currently going through a replacement program. I'm offering assistance to some of the regional districts as kind of doing a bulk purchase. There's some savings there available, somewhere up towards about 40% if we can do kind of bulk purchasing. So Campbell River will be moving forward on that shortly. I know Sayward is going to be joining us. Gold River has shown some interest, and then I'm also hoping to be able to hold that pricing for Zabelis and Tassus as well. The next one, so we had some funding available through the Next Gen 911 grant. We were able to use that funding to purchase some CAD systems for some of the apparatus in the smaller regions. This is going to be a major upgrade for some of these departments, and I like to kind of compare it to going from using a phone book to having a smartphone with Google Maps at your fingertips. It's a huge advancement for these departments, and one of the nice things about it is the real-time data exchange that can happen CAD to CAD. So, for example, if you call 911 and you ask for a BC ambulance, if you live in Campbell River or the North Island, your phone call gets transferred to Victoria. There's a call taker down there who will be taking your information. There's another one that will dispatch the appropriate equipment, apparatus. And while you're responding, as the call taker is taking in information, that information gets automatically transferred over to the fire department CAD. So it's just a seamless way for us to get some timely updates for some critical information. So this is going to be a very nice upgrade. And the last one on there, just working with the departments on maintaining work-safe regulations. One of those is respiratory fit testing. So I was in Gold River last night helping their crews do that. And the week before, Tuesday, I was over on Cortez, and Chief McKenty and I were working on getting their crews through that as well. Yeah, okay, there's a couple other ones here that I didn't put on that slide. Thanks, Chief. So the other one that came up when I was initially doing kind of my feeling out of all these departments was there's quite a large gap in their record management systems. So I've been working with Sean a little bit, and we're trying to research a records management system. So some of these smaller departments that are challenged right now with staffing and time and a modern way of doing that. This records management system, I'm hoping, will encompass the entire regional district, and it'll be a way for us to deliver training. We can keep vehicle record maintenance there, equipment records, training records, all these requirements under WorkSafe. I'm hoping that we can capture all of those under one program. And the last one on here that I have that's, sorry, it's not on that slide, is the British Columbia Fire Officer Training Association. So Campbell River is hosting that event next May. And it's just going to be a fantastic opportunity for our region to be able to get some excellent opportunities for training that may not be available just due to, costing for travel and all that. So this is going to be held over a week, and Campbell River is the host community. So it's going to be up to 150 delegates from across the province coming here to take part in the conference. Okay, so this just kind of highlights some of the smaller things that I've been doing with the departments as it comes up from time to time. I'm not going to go through all of these, but I'll just highlight a few of them. So I liaison with the Office of Fire Commissioner for new building inspections for Sayward. I provided some duty officer assistance to TASIS a couple times this year. That provided some relief for Chief Wilkinson so he could get some time away and spend some time with his family. I've been researching some equipment replacement projects for Zabelis and working with the fire chief there. I reviewed some bylaw and service agreements with Cortez, and for Campbell River, I'm overseeing the training program with us, and I was a project lead on a new piece of equipment that we are going to be putting into service hopefully within the next week or so. So this is just a slide, kind of gives you a quick summary of the call volume for the regional district fire departments. And it summarizes fire and medical calls. And my apologies for Oyster River not being on there. Their stat is actually captured under the Comox Valley Regional District. So I don't have that on this slide. So the green is fire calls and the gray is medical calls. So we split those into two categories. All right, so the last few slides I have here, I thought I'd just throw some photos up of some incident responses throughout the region. This was a structure fire that happened earlier in the year in Tassus. Tassus has been very busy for the last 18 months for their community and the size of their department. I believe Chief Wilkinson told me they've had 8 structure fires there, which is a very, very high number for their region. So this is a multi-unit residential. Tassus has a declared level of service of exterior only, and that's why you see all these large fire streams spraying water into the structure from the outside. The next one, this was a structure fire that Campbell River attended in Area D. That was late last year. This was a very showy fire when crews arrived. The fire had broken through the structure and was actually threatening both of the structures on either side. We had our ladder truck on scene. We were able to get water in between the home that was on fire and the neighboring structures, and we were able to limit the damage just to the one structure. Uh-oh, it's going so well. Click, thank you. The last one here, this was a structure fire earlier this year in Zabelis. This was a very stressful event for this department, as it was actually one of their members' home. So I reached out after this event and offered to provide some follow-up support, and just wanted to make sure that the chief there was looked after in case they had any after action concerns that needed to be followed up. Okay, that's all I've got. So thank you, everyone. I'm happy to answer any questions.
If I may, Mr. Chair, so I just want to remind the board, I think John and Kelly have done an exceptional job of displaying what the intent of the regional fire support service is. So John is paid for financially 70% from Campbell River, and Kelly tells him what to do 70% of the time. And then he spends 30% of his time on the other fire halls and departments in the region. And I think, you know, that is literally pennies on the dollar. And I think they've done an exceptional job of showing what kind of value they bring in resources, training, administration, purchasing, just the intellectual and professional experience, and they can support the halls in. So from my perspective, I think John and Kelly have done a fantastic job in executing what the intent of the service was meant to be.
Thank you. Director Lott.
Thank you, gentlemen, for coming out. Director Lott is what I'm known as around this table. In my community, they refer to me as Mayor Lott, as well as other things, but I won't go into that because it's a family program. So I did want to just recognize and acknowledge, John, the value of the service that you're bringing to the small communities. And speaking with my fire chiefs and deputy fire chiefs and members, they attest that your technical knowledge as well as your heart, I think they were really impressed with the fact that you came out when you didn't have to come out to build relationships out there. Going above and beyond what's required of you was very impactful. So we see the value of that in the small community. We are feeling the value of that, and I'm glad that I supported this back then when it was, and I voted for it, because I think you're delivering. Thank you, sir.
Director Colburn.
Good afternoon. Thank you for coming. I really wanted to thank you on behalf of the Village of Zabalas for your follow-up and for your care and attention to our membership. I'll just leave that at that, but thank you. I was wondering, and you had already alluded to this, it wasn't on your slide, but as for like records management, you know, our team is volunteers and they all have full-time jobs, and so easing that administrative burden wherever possible is really appreciated. I'm wondering if you talk through through your associations and through your regional meetings about trainings that are happening that may be transferable, that are already delivered within community. I'm thinking, brought it up when you were doing first aid. Have you been, is that something that you guys are doing as well through this, is trying to expand on, not expand on, but use the local knowledge keepers to expand on your training programs?
Yeah, thank you for that. To the chair, through the director. Yes, we are. So we've had really good uptake so far with the training that we're offering, and we're looking at kind of building that out as we progress and move that forward. Very hopeful that we get this records management system in place. This is, like I was saying earlier, quite a large gap for some of the smaller departments. Zabalas was one of the shining stars in that regard. They're still doing things with clipboards and paper. So, you know, as we move this forward and we get it built out, I think the value of the service as a whole is just going to be felt greater in the smaller departments than maybe it would be here in Campbell River.
And one further, if I may. I'm also wondering if there's any push to, I always worry about recruitment and retention, and I know that that's a big thing for you as well. I'm wondering if there's any, you know, regional push that we can make or anything like that, that, you know, could kind of ease the burden on our members, that are looking for our members within, you know, or any national kind of recruitment retention kind of programs that are available to us, because well, you know our situation, and so it's super fortunate that we have the members that we do, but it's always keeping them as people move in and out of community, get different jobs, have different levels of responsibility on their own in their homes, as well as trying to carry a load in the department. So I know that you are, most departments are always looking for that, some kind of mechanism. So I appreciate the efforts and I thank you for your outreach, and I was just a question to see if that was something you guys were considering.
Yeah, so thank you for that. Even in larger communities, volunteerism is down, and it's a challenge these days to recruit and retain people, especially for the fire service. The demand for the training and the commitment and the time it pulls people away from their families is quite large. I haven't looked at anything federally or regionally for recruitment and retention, but there are strategies that we can take, I think, as a region to maybe improve staffing levels for some of the smaller departments. And I've had conversations with Sean about that. So I'm hopeful that we can move some of those opportunities forward. And, you know, I think for some of the smaller communities, there has to be some reward for the members that donate their time, and whether that's through some recognition or some, you know, fire department events where, you know, you can hand out some, you know, service awards or those kind of events. There's definitely ways that we can help retain the people that we are able to recruit, for sure. So we will be working on that.
Sorry, I'm going to just add one more comment if I can, because John's likely too humble to mention this. Part of the service of the things it was going to provide was that mentorship, you know, and the ability to resource people in the industry and profession, and, you know, to have that available to folks in the smaller departments helps keep people there that know that they have resources that they can call and rely on. So just having John's position there and a position and a person that people can connect with is adding to retention of folks.
If I can just add to that as well, I think a really positive part of this admin position is the ability to offer training at a regional level. And I know I saw it firsthand when we hosted these courses this year, the networking and the camaraderie that happens at these events. I think that really helps as far as the retain and retention goes as well. I think sometimes when you're in these smaller departments, you kind of get yourself in a little bit of a bubble, and it's repetitive. So when you have those opportunities to get out into the region as a whole and have conversations with other people in the same line of work, I think that can be invigorating and also help provide some retention.
Okay, Director Brown and then Director Davis.
Thanks, John and Kelly, for coming. Question I have about things a little bit is the way the split is 70-30 for funding. Is that just the position, or is there an actual budget for things like your outreach and when you're talking about SCBA maintenance and stuff like that? Is there a budget for that, or is that just going to be built upon?
I might be better to answer that. So we're supporting the administration, so the staffing aspect of that. The board has done things like contribute to a vehicle and radios and equipment and that, but I think part of the funding is that you've seen John's gone out and acquired grants for that, but we don't, it's more administration and it's not, parts and pieces, yeah.
Okay, Director Davis, then Director Chapman.
Yeah, as Mayor Tassis, I'd really like to thank you for not only his presentation, but the efforts you've been doing to network with our community. And certainly Chief Wilkinson is much appreciative. As you know, as you mentioned, we've had a number of structure fires this year. Hopefully they're all unrelated. I think we're up to 9 as of last week. But we have a full complement here, and we're about to do our official opening of our fire hall on September 28th. But again, I would really like to thank you for your outreach and networking with us, and look forward to working with you in the future.
Director Chapman, then Director Sinan.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to echo what our CAO mentioned, that this program is rolling out exactly how we hoped it would. So congratulations for understanding that and listening. But my question is, when it comes to the specialized training, like the smoke reader and so forth, I'm sure there's been some thought as to inviting the fire departments down in the Comox Valley to help maybe offset some of our cost to bring that specialized training in.
Through the chair and to the director, thank you for that, those comments, and thank you for that question. And actually, we've gone ahead and done that for this course that's happening this weekend. So this gentleman's coming up for the day. The regional district departments, I really was hoping to get quite a large buy-in. So I've offered that training at no cost to them. And then to help offset some of the costs, I put that out to the entire island. We got a pretty good response just because based on this gentleman's reputation. So we have over 40 firefighters from other departments on the island that will be attending, and we are charging them to attend. So that should help off some of that cost.
I'm glad to hear that, and thank you for your report. It was excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Director Sinan.
Yes, thank you, Chair, and thank you for the report. Also a Southgate grad, so here we go. Just a Southgate reunion happening here. So I had a couple of questions. One was with respect to the fire and FR dispatched incidents. I just did the number. We have 86% in Campbell River of all the numbers you've got here for the beginning of January to, I guess it's the end of August? Yeah. And I'm just wondering, some of the numbers, we have fewer fires and overall incidents in Campbell River, but some of the other locations have more fires than other incidents. And I'm just wondering, is that a matter of the service levels that each town has? Okay, so that's what I thought might be happening. And is there a benefit to streamlining that and making more consistency? Would it serve their communities better? And are you going to be able to give them information as to whether they should increase, or is it really a capacity issue, the staffing? Yeah, okay. That's the first one. I'll let you answer that first.
Yeah, thank you for that. And it is it's based on a couple of things. So certainly the level of training helps dictate what level of response. And then I would also suggest your capacity as a department. So some of these smaller areas may not have the capacity to be handling the full scope of medical calls that larger jurisdictions do. And certainly in Campbell River, we have a little bit higher level of training that we provide as far as medical response goes that the smaller departments do not have. So we're able to handle kind of a larger scope of medical calls that maybe the smaller regional departments cannot capture.
Okay, so my second one is sort of follows up to the fact that we're all from Campbell River, grew up in Campbell River. And the idea that as you need more resources in these smaller towns, I mean, it applies to Campbell River. The more that you can get people trained up who have a connection to the city, the more likely they're going to stay. And I'm just wondering, just like our gardens is now sort of working with the schools to get people trained up into swimming so that they can become lifeguards eventually, is there some pathways that we can support to these smaller communities to get the locals through school programs trained up and have interest in fire response?
Yeah, again, thank you for that question. So that all comes back to retention and recruitment. And we've got a couple initiatives that we have been working on. One of them was with School District 72. We ran into some funding constraints there, so that project's on hold for now. The other one, Chief Belfler and I have discussed, is offering like a ride-along program where some of the members of these smaller departments can come to Campbell River and spend a day on our trucks and experience perhaps a little bit higher call volume than they may normally be exposed to. It also gives them the opportunity to train with our crews and just kind of interact. And again, it comes back to that camaraderie. And just kind of building relationships.
Well, I'd favorably look upon any kind of initiative that even got younger people, sort of committed to more volunteerism in their community, including serving their community. I think it's really rewarding, and it actually gives people in small communities something to look forward to with a future. So anything you want to come back on that, I'd be excited to see.
Director Colburn.
And further to that, working with the other school districts, I know that there has been a push through our school district with ambulance training and that kind of push. And so getting into the service, that's a fantastic idea. So not that we want to add anything to your plate, and I know that you're doing a great job and you're busy already, but as these opportunities come along, if there's anything that I hear or anything that you hear, that's fantastic. This is our service center. This is where we come for groceries. We might as well come here for, bring our kids to do some sort of really fun activity that may promote that in the future.
Director Davis. Sorry, you muted.
Sorry, I just forgot to put my hand down.
Okay. That's all the questions. Gentlemen, thank you very much for being here today.
Thank you, everyone.
It's already on the floor? Okay. Motion to receive?
Move receipt.
Second. All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, motion is carried. Director Smythe, would you like to take number 2, please?
Motion that the report from the Chief Administration Officer be received.
Second.
Discussion?
Mr. Chair, I think Mike will just speak to this.
Yeah, this report is to introduce the proposed financial planning timeline for 2026. It's much the same as the prior 2 years, in fact. We kind of start off in November, and we have a booking in each of the meetings up until March 31st when the deadline is due. So, yeah, no changes from the prior year.
That's it?
That's it?
That's
Sorry.
all?
I should have announced. Yeah, here to answer any questions on it, but business as usual.
Okay, any questions? Director Chapman?
I would like to thank our CFO for such a brief presentation.
There we go. Any other comments or discussion? All in favor? You had a question? Oh, sorry, Director Mawhinney.
Thank you, Chair. And thank you for the report and the timeline, which I'd take a look at. I also really appreciated that the policy was attached to the report. I thought that was really great. And I did notice that it says that input from taxpayer and constituent groups will be sought as early in the process as is feasible to allow sufficient time for investigation and consideration of ideas and concerns. And that the calendar will identify opportunities throughout the budget process for the board to receive input. So it does, that part of the policy really does tie to one of our good governance strategic priorities about proactively communicating and engaging with our communities. But maybe there's like some institutional learning which has led to the engagement opportunities which are planned. And I'd be curious to hear that. And I was also wondering if it would maybe be possible to like add something on our website which invites input, or the things that were identified in the policy and shows that we are following the policy. Just curious. The
If I may,
institutional
Mr.
knowledge that maybe I could access.
No, that's great. I really like the term institutional learning because we have had some. And Director Wally is happy to, I'm sure, to chime in. What that institutional learning has been when we've gone out to community, the turnout has been very poor. So it's not like we're not happy to, provide more things online, availability and for folks to make comment on. But we really, at the end of the day, after we've had those experiences going out to community, we consult with the local director and say, do you want us to go out to community? The answers over the last 3 or 4 years have been collectively no, but that can change year to year. It's fine with us. So I think that's the liberty that we give you and say, we're going to continue on with our outreach and engagement, how we do. And if you want us to go to community, we're happy to do that, but we'll kind of take that direction individually from the directors.
I'll add really briefly. We do keep the draft budget up through the entire cycle, so we pretty much formulate it in January, and then that stays up until approved. And just to highlight, we do 2 rounds of 2 weeks of consecutive advertising in the local newspaper just to bring people's attention to it. And as far as past budgets, we keep them there typically for 5 years. I think we have 6 or 7 years up now, but we tend to keep our financial planning page quite robust.
Any additional questions?
Thank you for the answers.
Director Colburn?
Oh, I didn't have any questions.
No? Okay.
I was going to go on to 3.
I
was ready.
You're all ready to go. Not yet. All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, motion is carried.
I'll move that the 2026 financial planning timeline attached to the report from the CAO be approved.
Second.
Director Mawhinney? Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, motion is carried. Number 3, Director Colburn.
National Bank Financial Wealth Management Account application. So I would move that the report from the CAO be received.
Director Chapman, discussion.
We'll just have Mike speak to this. He won't present anything.
Yeah, this is another quick one, but this report's just recommending the opening of a new investment account with the National bank just for the purpose of purchasing GICs. Most banking firms only require authorized staff to open accounts, but National Bank's procedures to get the board's authorization in addition to that. So that's why you're seeing such a administrative matter getting brought forward. GICs aren't new for us. We currently have several accounts that allow us to hold them, but this one's just going to further broaden our options. We're just looking to shop rates around, so we'll be more effective at that. Generally speaking, all the rates on the GICs are quite competitive between investment firms, but National Bank kind of has a bit of an edge when it comes to 4 or 5 year terms. Again, the differences are very small, but given a 4 or 5 years, it becomes material. So this is just going to allow us to optimize our GIC ladder and as well as open up a bit more offerings so we can diversify a bit. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Anyone? Director Moini?
Thank you, Chair. I do actually have a couple of questions. And thank you for the report, which made me understand that National Bank Financial Wealth Management is a solid national bank. I just hadn't really a lot of knowledge about them before. So my first question is sort of around fees and costs. And I understand that something called wealth management often comes with fees. And are the competitiveness of the fees from this institution and others part of your consideration when making investment decisions? And what percentage of our reserves are already in GICs?
Okay. Yeah, as far as fees for holding GICs, there are none. The banks make money off their spread between them, so it's depending, and that's where the differences in rate comes from. Some opt for a lesser margin than that. So yeah, fees are no consideration here on the GIC side, which is all we plan to do. I don't know what percent we're currently at. We have about 13 million in GICs right now, and then that's over a ladder, so it's we get different amounts changing every time. We also have some holdings with MFA through some high interest savings accounts. We got some holdings as well within RBC. So we're very high percentage, but as matters stuff locked in, we're probably about 50%. But we're a very seasonal firm as well, so we get a big amount of money in August, and then July is our low point. So that's kind of what we have to plan for.
Okay, thank you. That's helpful to know. And then I believe we have an investment management policy which states that the Municipal Finance Authority should be designated as the portfolio fund manager, and but specifically for general water and sewer reserve funds. So maybe this falls outside that. I was just curious with this proposal here if it fits in with that policy.
Yeah, we do have quite a few options with MFA. National Bank, of course, is not specifically mentioned in our policy. But yeah, we use MFA. They don't really manage anything. They just they're just another holder. So maybe the policy could be reworded a bit, maybe. But none of these institutions really, like, we don't hire a manager. And as far as I don't think MFA offers that. But they have a broad range of investment options, including GICs. But we primarily we can just get more effective rate through credit unions. MFA primarily deals with a lot of the chartered banks, which have a lower rate. So this again is just to broaden our options to further that.
Okay, thank you. I really appreciate that.
On receipt, all in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, motion's carried. B. She's gone.
I'll move that the board chair be authorized to sign the trading resolution form, thereby providing authority to trade in securities through National Bank Financial.
Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, motion's carried. Director Chapman, number 4.
I knew you were going to do that. Municipal participation in electoral area land use planning matters. That the report from the CAO be received.
Second.
Discussion? Director Wally.
Yeah, a couple things.
Your microphone, please.
Couple of points, Mr. Chair. First of all, I want to point out that electoral area planning cannot be used for any part of planning within a municipality. I'm sure people already recognize that. Number 2, electoral planning cannot be used for consideration of regional growth strategies. That issue belongs to function 510, which is planning non-part 14, of which every jurisdiction is already a part of. And my third point is that contrary to what was stated at the Municipal Services Committee, electoral areas have never denied a subdivision application for Area D during this term. There was one that we delayed till the OCP was amended by, I think it was 1 month, went ahead. And in my opinion, the sole purpose for municipalities to join the electoral area planning function would be to, I don't know, jerk around areas B, C, and D. It doesn't affect area A at all because we don't really do any development. We're all TFL or agricultural land reserve. And this basically supports developers who, for their own profit, are rather keen to destroy the unique rural settings that electoral area constituents desire to preserve. And you got to remember that most of these subdivision applications will go to public hearing. And it's contingent upon us to respect the input of the constituents at those public hearings. We just can't say, oh, well, who cares what they think? So it's just not a slam dunk for development, as some people might think. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Director Von Esch.
Thank you, Chair. So we're looking at a possibility here where there's no tangible benefit to municipalities to join as far as any services that they get out of it. There's no zoning or planning or OCP that would support the municipality. It's really just paying to vote on land use decisions in the electoral areas. And I asked the question to municipalities if there was a lever that I could pull where, Cortez decided to join Gold River's planning decisions. I kind of know what the Gold River mayor would say. No, thank you. I think it's about respecting local authority over local land. And yes, we are a regional district, but we also respect the needs and the diversity of communities within our district. So I'm really hoping that this doesn't move forward. And, a question for those that are moving forward, particularly Campbell River, that would be paying, almost $500,000 a year. Put that 10 years, that's $5 million you'd be spending. And I'm wondering, based on the fact you're not getting any services out of this, you're just getting a vote. And given your, need for budget on public safety, fire, police, arts and culture, transit, economic development in Campbell River, I'm just wondering how, as you're considering this, how you're justifying paying $500,000 a year for a vote that isn't, when you have such other priorities.
Just something that we have forgotten in the past is when you're directing your comments, you direct it to the chair and not to the individuals, please.
Thank you for reminding me, Chair. So my question through the chair is, I'm curious and would love to hear from particularly Campbell River, how they're, justifying potentially spending $500,000 a year, $5 million over 10 years on this, given the other priorities in their community.
Further discussion? No. On receipt, Director Mawhinney.
Thank you, Chair. I listened with interest to the Municipal Services Committee meeting as well. And one of my takeaways from listening to that was that this short 2-page report that was referred to the Municipal Services Committee and is now being referred back, and there's a motion here to refer it to all of the city municipal councils in the Strathcona Regional District, is really that I don't believe that the report here provides enough information for municipal councillors to necessarily make a fully informed decision. Director Wally spoke to some of the issues that I also picked up on, discussions about regional growth planning and how that is an important type of planning, but it doesn't fit into the electoral areas planning. I think that having that information in a report would ensure that all municipal councillors would have a broad understanding of the options and potential utility of joining the electoral area planning service as opposed to considering function 510 for some work. And, also the points about what sort of utility or support can be happen for any of the smaller communities regarding like official community planning and that sort of thing. So I think that type of information also needs to be in a report. If we are referring something to all municipal councils for their consideration, it is prudent for us to ensure that councillors are aware of the limitations of their municipality joining the electoral area planning service. And at our last board meeting, our corporate officer stated that in order for a municipality to join the electoral area planning service, a certified motion from the municipality must be submitted. I would argue that that's important information that should also be included in a report if it's being referred out to municipal councils. So I think if municipalities joining the electoral area planning service is truly of interest, then we as a board must provide solid, thoughtful analysis of the pros and cons, the costs and utility, the tangible and intangible benefits before asking municipalities to invest their time and resources in the matter. And I said the tangible and intangible benefits because I heard our CAO state at that Municipal Services Committee meeting that he would be happy to attend a meeting with municipal councils and provide a verbal report on those benefits. And personally, I'm very curious what the tangible and intangible benefits are, and I'm sure many electoral area residents are as well. Transparency is a key tenet of local government. I think if these things are all outlined in a report, we will all have access to the same information, and it will support thoughtful decision-making of municipal councillors within the Strathcona Regional District. So I don't think as appropriate at this time for our board to refer this to municipalities. There's more information that's needed, and I think it's asking a lot for each small municipal staff to have to do that work themselves. So I do have a follow-up motion, Chair, that speaks to that. Thank you.
CAO.
Oh, I just was going to say the intent of what myself going to these, the member municipalities was that I would outline what participating in the service would include, that being cost, what services you can and cannot get, voting, so on and so forth. So I understood that as a direction that I would put that together and present that to the various municipal councils.
Director Wally?
Yeah, I appreciate that from our CAO. I think, though, in the sake of transparency, it would be important that those comments, rather than, or in addition to being verbal, would be in the form of a report to the board so that every constituent, whether electoral or municipality, would have access to those comments.
Okay. All in favor of receipt? Opposed? Seeing none, motion is carried. B.
I had a follow-up
sorry.
motion. Thank
Go
you.
ahead.
I would like to move that staff provide a comprehensive report on the costs, potential utility, tangible and intangible benefits of municipalities joining the electoral area planning service, and that the report include information on non-Part 14 planning, and further that the report include the process by which a municipality may join the electoral area planning service.
Just one note on that motion. It's not the electoral area planning service. It's the planning service function. I think it's 500.
Okay, I was taking my language from the report that was attached, so I apologize for that.
Director Wally, second. Discussion? Director Colburn?
I'm just wondering what's different with that, and if we would move the next motion as well, or if that is a replacement for through the chair to the CAO, or what that kind of looks like, or the mover, however.
I don't really know. So the motion on the floor would be, as I understood it during our conversation, that I would go to municipal councils and explain to them mostly what Director Mawhinney has provided to there so that they have information. It's correct. You're going to need a motion from council. The services are buy into. There's no say or vote for the other areas, electoral areas. The they don't get a vote on it. If you want to participate in the service and you want to pay into the service, that is solely up to the community wishing to join it. So anyways, I'll do whatever, but the motion that came from municipal service was me going out and providing this information to those areas. The motion that Director Mawhinney has on is staff providing that information in a report to the board. That's how I understand it.
And as a further, is that like before it goes to the councils or?
I would assume so. I mean, but it doesn't make, I mean, I don't know.
Hey, Director Wally?
Yeah, I believe the intent was to have the report to the board before it went to council. That way, every municipal constituent will be able to have the same information their council gets, and they may want to give some feedback to their councilors before the decision is made. Not everybody goes to the council meetings. Well, I think that would be transparent. I think that would be a good move.
On receipt? Nope, sorry, B.
No.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. I nodded off there. Okay. Sorry, Director Mawhinney?
I was just going to respond through the chair to the question that Director Colburn had asked, and I felt like there's a lot of small municipalities that are represented here, and expecting the staff of those small municipalities to come up with the right information to support this. You know, as a board, if we're sending a 2-page report out to the municipalities and asking them on their thoughts for joining the planning service, I think that those councillors all should have a solid basis of the information. And that's why I'm asking for this staff report to be done with our staff, because it's our board that's making this choice to go to the municipal councils. And I think that those councillors all require the same level of information. And I think the electoral area constituents are also really curious what that information is.
Thank you, Chair. And it's my understanding that all of the electoral areas and the municipal areas were all members of this planning service previously, and we stopped doing it. And
That's correct. On day one, everyone
Exactly.
was, and then they opt out.
yeah, so this is not a new thing. I mean, we were, then we weren't, we can be again. So it's not something that the municipal services are, just making happen out of the blue. Like,
Okay, Director Colburn?
So it's really apples and apples is what I'm hearing, that the same information that would be asked for by the motion that's on the floor is the same information that would be given in B, and that's the recommendation that came out of Municipal Services Committee.
I would say so, except one is a written report. I think what Director Mawhinney's motion is that what I would prepare in a presentation be put into a report for the board, and then that be taken to municipalities.
So on the motion, go ahead, Director Brown.
Just a quick comment, much what Mr. Kerr had said is, do they not have the option right now to join on their own individually?
Yes.
So it exists as it stands now?
Yes, if there was a resolution from a municipal council to join, that would come to the regional district, yes.
Director Von Esch.
Thank you, Chair. I think just on basic good use of our CAO's time, having them spend 5 days touring to different council meetings throughout the district, why not create a thorough report that has all that information? We can pass that on to councils. They can make that decision. It seems like a efficient use of time and of certainly our CAO, as well as really setting up the municipalities to make an informed choice on the same information. So I support this motion and hope it'll get passed.
Director Sinnott.
I'm just trying to understand. So we've got a resolution to prepare a report. It comes back to this board, and then what? We have a further resolution to send it off. So we're pushing it down 2 or 3 months. Is that the concept that we're dealing with? I mean, we don't have any action after the report comes. That's sitting here going, we have to approve it. We're going to have a debate in the room. Like, I don't think it's as much of a benefit as you think it is. I'm just thinking, is this really necessary? Really, at the end of the day, it's Campbell River. If Campbell River is in, probably all the other small municipalities are in, because then their costs are pretty marginal, and it's sort of a cost-benefit analysis for all the small municipalities as to whether they want to go in. So Campbell River's pretty sophisticated. We know what we're doing. I don't think we need a report. So then we're talking about the concerns of the small munis needing a report. I mean, I don't know. Maybe Zabalis wants a report whether they spend up to $1,000. I don't know.
Just for clarity, so whether Campbell River joined or not, it's assessment based. It wouldn't change the price, let's say, for Zabalis, using them as an example. So I'm just making this up. If it's $1,000 with Campbell River, it's $1,000 without Campbell River.
Okay. Director Davis.
Yeah, once again, an interesting discussion. I mean, we've been through this on the Municipal Services Committee. I know as far as TASIS goes, we're interested in further information, however that comes about. I think I do support the motion brought forward by Director Mawhinney, because that goes a long ways towards addressing this. My other comment is the Village of TASIS respects the autonomy of all the electoral areas. And if there's something going on here that we don't fully understand, that leads to taking away some of their autonomy, I would be opposed to that. The Village of TASIS would be.
Dave, thank you. All in favor? Oh, Director Von Esch.
Thank you, Chair, and appreciate everyone's patience. This is a big thing, and it's a huge thing for electoral areas, right? You know, if Campbell River joins this service, you would have 5 votes, even if no one else joined, and we'd have 4 electoral areas outnumbered. And basically, Campbell River could say, override our OCP, could override our zoning, could override our land use decisions. That's hugely concerning. So when I hear sighs around the room to continue this conversation, I hope people understand the weight of what this means for us. The big question in the room is Campbell River going to spend $5 million over the next 10 years dictating to electoral areas what should happen in their community, or are they going to spend it on the needs of their community, like public safety, arts and culture, housing? I think that's the big question. So thank you, Chair.
Director Brown for the final comment.
Yeah, I saw Councillor Lanyon's comments about not wanting to be the bully in the room, so to speak, and I have to agree that I trust them in that sense. So I think that the idea of the regional service or planning would certainly be a better way to go. This is my comment.
Okay, so on the motion, all in favor? Opposed?
Online, we got 5 and 5. We got 10 here, right?
Online?
We have 5 and 5 here. Martin, and just ask Martin.
Martin, are you opposed or in favor of the motion?
I'm in favor.
Thank you.
And then is Matthew still on?
No, I believe Mr. Jack, Director Jack, are you still there? No, he's left the meeting. He's left the meeting. Okay.
Anyway, 6 and 5 opposed.
Correct. The motion is carried. Okay. Director Chapman?
Just for clarity, with this motion passing, what this does is delays this going to municipal councils for a decision. So we're potentially now possibly losing a year with this process.
So my comment is there's a couple things. Technically speaking, I mean, Campbell River Council could make a motion at their next meeting that they want to join the plan. They don't need any information or have to have any information from us. So if Campbell River wanted to do that at their next meeting, they could do it. I don't think this is complicated. The information, the pros and cons, and what you get, what you don't get, it's not really that complicated. We'll easily come up with a report next meeting, and it will only be for information, because it sits out there as information. So then either the board directs that report to those councils, or me to go present it, whatever that be, or the mayors here just bring it to their councils for discussion matters on their own. They don't need me. So again, you can produce a report that is going to come for information. You can refer it, not refer it. You can come up with your own resolution.
Director Wally, then Director Kerr.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was just going to say, Mr. Chair, that Dave Lease already stole my thunder, but once it comes to the board next month, every mayor has it. They can take it to the council. It's a public document anyway. Anybody who wants to can take a look at it.
Director Kerr.
Thank you, Chair. Could you humor me and tell me what the vote was on that?
6-5.
It was 6-5. So did somebody abstain?
We have 11.
No, we only had
with us
11.
right now. 5 at the table and 1 online, or 10 at the table and 1 online, sorry. We were 5-5 at the table, and then Director Davis was supporting.
No, we're 11 at the table.
Sorry, we're 11 at the table.
We're 11 at the table.
Oh. Well, we could be,
So it should have been either,
how did the chair vote?
pardon me, I voted against.
That would be 6-6. No, if we have 11, we have 12 total. We had, we had 5 support it. Sorry, I didn't count the chair. 6 opposed. Director Davis supported it. That's 6-6.
So it's defeated.
Should we call the vote again? Okay,
No,
Yeah, but
it's not done.
if it's done, though, the chair declared that he voted against it. So if it's done, it was 6-6.
Yeah.
The chair opposed the vote.
The chair opposes, he has to raise his hand and declare.
I did.
The chair doesn't raise his hand and declare he's opposed, he's in favor. He said that's not,
No, I raised my hand.
didn't say you were opposed, my friend.
I don't think he has to verbalize it, but
No, nobody verbalizes. You just show by show of hands. Okay, so that means the motion is defeated.
Move B.
Move B.
Second.
Discussion?
Do you want me to read it out?
Sure.
That the concept of municipalities joining the electoral area planning service be referred to each municipal council within the regional district for consideration, and that each council be requested to report back to the regional district on the matter.
Discussion. Director Wally.
Oh, as the mover, can I?
Sure, you're the
Thanks.
mover, you go first.
And I would be in favor of a small amendment to this that would say that, that the report be released to the board. Like I trust that the CAO is going to give the same presentation to each council, that there is going to be, transparency, and that it's going to be an actual presentation that's given to each council that is going to look the same. So,
Take the amendment, no second.
what does that look like?
if I can, so I'm going to tell you what I intended to do was just do a PowerPoint
Thank you.
with what you get, what you don't get, voting cost. Again, it's not that complicated. So because there are not a lot of, let's say, boots on the ground things municipalities get out of it. So that's all my intention was. You don't have 3, 4, 5 slides on that and presented each council in an unbiased manner. And if the board wants me to provide that same presentation, I mean, it's no skin off my nose.
Director Kerr.
Thank you, Chair. And I believe there was a report that came out last meeting. Did we not all look at a report? So it's not going to be too much different, I would suspect, than the report that everybody saw last meeting.
I mean, they will identify things that I would say mostly that you don't have access to. Again, it's not going to be lengthy. There's not a whole lot there. So if the board wants that presentation and/or a report, I mean, they're one and the same. It's about, timing. So it's just not that much work for us, whatever the board wants.
And I'm not making that amendment. I'm just saying that I'm confident that it's going to be a standardized presentation that's going to be given to each council.
It is.
And those, of course, will be available on our council's meetings, recordings, and minutes.
Yeah, so now the only thing is timing wise, I will be going to different councils at different times. For example, Pete's reached out for me in mid-October. I may not get to Gold River till November or something, you know what I mean? So that consolidation of that, but I can still, as soon as I've done the first one, I can bring it and I'm saying this is what's going to come to everybody else.
Director Wally?
Yeah, I'll just move an amendment that a copy of the presentation be brought back to the board.
Second.
Yeah, and that's really easy, yeah.
Okay, so all in favor, B? With the amendment. Vote on the amendment first. Go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. Is this motion clear that the CAO needs to go and do a roadshow? Like, can we just make the report and send it to them? If it is seems like it's relatively simple.
I think it'd be up to the municipality whether or not to have them.
Question: I guess question to the CAO: do you think it's necessary to actually go and spend 5 days presenting, or can you just send them the report? It sounds like it's simple.
There's going to be questions. I leave it up. I'm happy to go. I'm happy to do online. I do them anyways. I'm going to do a 2-for-1 in Zabalas, so I'm easy. Like, don't worry about me.
Director Sinnott, then Director Mawhinney.
Yeah, I think it's really important, at least from the point of view of the City of Canberra, that we move regionalization along as well as get our city staff more familiar with what happens here at the regional district. There's been too much siloing, and I think that's one of the main priorities, is to make sure we are a regional focused area governance body.
Director Mawhinney.
Thank you, Chair. I really appreciate having the reports on our agendas in advance, so I have a time to read them and consider them. And I would imagine that municipal councillors from across the municipalities of the Strathcona Regional District would also be appreciative of that. And that is why I moved that the idea of a report be brought to us, that we can disseminate that solid information. And if that looks like it's going to be now, the report is going to be brought as slides, then I'm in support of that as well. I just think that it's really important that councillors have all of the information and that they have, that everybody is getting the same information.
If I can,
CAO.
just so I don't make a mistake, that is my intention. So my intention was to do a PowerPoint, and I then, based on the conversation here, I'm just going to take screenshots of those and include them in the agenda, correct? You're right, but that's what I'll do. There, you either got a report or you got a presentation. And we'll add to the agenda item screenshots of the presentation. We'll have it on there and we can discuss it there.
Director Chapman.
Thank you, Chair. I don't support the amendment. And the reason is that there's an insinuation that the CAO is not trustworthy enough to present the same information consistently to each group, each municipality. And I think all of our staff at the SRD are extremely good and trustworthy. And I'm not concerned that Campbell River is going to get a different report than Zabalas. So for that reason, I'm not supporting it.
Director Davis, then Director Mawhinney.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. regarding TASIS, if we could get that PowerPoint by October 1st to get onto our agenda, we can consider it. And then October 7th is our regular council meeting. If our CIO can be in your meeting, Dave could be in attendance online. That's all we need. You don't have to physically be here for us. So
I'm going to give you a definite maybe just to lay out next week at UBCM the entire week. The following, the Monday, the Tuesday is Day of Reconciliation. That's a stat. Wednesday is the 1st. So I'm physically not here for almost any of that. So I'll give you a hard maybe on that.
okay. Well, otherwise it'll push us back to us considering it on the 21st of October.
And that's what I'd say. Like, I don't know when our next board meeting is, but certainly I'll have the presentation done before the next board meeting. I can bring it to the board and go to the municipalities concurrently on different schedules because you all have different meeting dates and times. So I'm not sure if that really matters. Like the presentation's a presentation. I'm going to give it to different munis on different dates, but I can certainly make sure it's done and get it on this board agenda for October. Whether I hit your muni before our next board meeting, I don't know for certain. But I don't know if that's important either.
First Director Mawhinney, then Director Wally, then Director Kerr.
Okay, just to be clear, we're still speaking to the amendment, is that correct?
That's correct.
Yes, okay, thank you. So through the chair to Director Chapman's point, there was not intended to be any insinuation on the trustworthiness of the staff. It's really from my community members. They are very curious about this process and would like to have equitable, transparent access to the information which is being presented to the municipalities so that they can understand. There are constituents, I'm already hearing from them in my inbox, who are very concerned about this. And I want them to be able to have access to the information so that it's not me saying, oh, well, it was presented to a Saybrook City Council and I don't have any information on what was said. That is the reason for the request for the report and why I'm in support of this amendment.
Okay, Director Wally.
Yes, Mr. Chair, thank you. Contrary to what Director Chapman has insinuated, this has nothing to do with integrity of staff. We all support the integrity of staff. This is transparency, which this board is supposed to support. Transparency for all constituents, whether electoral area or municipality. Not every constituent is going to go to a municipal meeting. They have a right to know what their money is being spent on. They have a right to know this information just as much as the councillors. That's all it's about.
Director Kerr.
Thank you, Chair. And I think we're spending a lot of time micromanaging our manager and our municipalities. And I don't think that's a good use of our time, especially today.
Thank you. So on the motion, on the amendment, all in favor? Opposed?
How are you voting, Chair?
I got my hand up.
So you're opposed?
That's correct.
I've got 6 opposed.
6 opposed, 6 in favor. The motion's defeated. B, Director Chapman.
So I
Oh,
already
you already
put
did
it
B.
on.
That's right.
Yeah.
Director.
And so with moving it, so now what's going to happen, because we didn't vote in favor of the amendment, is that it's going to go to all the councils and we're not going to get the information. So just putting that out there.
Director Chapman.
Well, good point. Council meetings are open. If the electoral area director wants to attend the council meeting in Sayward, I'm sure council would be welcome to have Director Wally join the meeting and attend. So, I mean, meetings are held and open. So what's, if you want to know, council meeting in Camp River is, I think it's televised, so an electoral area director can even be at home and still get the information.
Director Colburn?
Do you have a schedule yet of who you'll be presenting to first? Through the CAO?
No, Pete has sent me something. I can't remember the date. No, I don't. I didn't want to entertain it until the board passed it, so I haven't set up anything.
Absolutely. So on the, our council meetings are the third Tuesday of every month.
You only meet once a month? Okay.
For a regular meeting, we have committee of the wholes every, the first.
And if I may, Mr. Chair, so this wouldn't be critical to board. It could be a committee of the whole. So I can be flexible, or Pete's flexible there, so.
Okay, we're still on B, right? Director Mawhinney.
Thank you, Chair. Speaking to the motion and looking at the topic through the lens of the Strathcona Regional District strategic priorities, we have agreed to prioritize good governance that recognizes the diversity of our region and focuses on areas of common interests. We don't all believe the same things, and we shouldn't have to. We are here to work together. We are a federation. I've heard that term quite frequently. We're a partnership of municipalities and electoral areas coming together to deliver services which make sense to handle together and to support each other. Rural electoral areas have unique community-led visions enshrined in official community plans and zoning bylaws. Having 5 Campbell River councillors at the decision table pushing their desire for development onto the rural electoral areas is challenging for me to reconcile with the federation model. And I wonder, how does this serve our purpose, how does this serve the strategic priority of recognizing diversity? To me, this topic seems to be sowing division and creating churn and distracting us from focusing on real issues. I would much prefer that we were here spending our time at the board, appreciating the diversity of our region and working on shared priorities: housing, emergency management in the face of climate change, advocating for the needs of our diverse region. Let's focus on supporting housing diversity and affordability and shared priorities and common interests. I would argue that we need to put an end to this divisive distraction and get to work. Thank you.
Okay, so on B, all in favor? Opposed? 1, 2, 3, 4.
And that's Martin, I don't know.
Martin, are you in favor or opposed?
In favor.
Thank you. The motion carries. Okay, Director Wally, take number 5, please. Sorry? We'll go for a little bit and then take a break.
We're taking a break?
No, not yet.
Oh, number 5, 2025 UBCM Convention Meeting Request.
They might be taking a break anyways. I guess everybody's taking a break.
I'll pick it up when we come back.
We'll take just 10 minutes. So at 2:50, 10 to 3.
Hey, sorry, I just said that because I started walking out.
Right.
Would you, and corporate officer to the security suite?
By all means.
Activity, or not connectivity, the citizen services, if there's anybody that's not going to attend, and you can tell me so that I could be a part of that as well.
Oh, you can come anyways.
Okay,
Yeah, there's
thank
lots.
you.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll grab the briefing note from Edith then. Thank you.
Just to clarify, sorry, I'll have to send a note to the UBCM coordinators and hope that we can get her on those ones.
Not if it's a big issue.
I will, though. I will.
Yeah, in the past, I know from firsthand experience, there's a lot of chairs on the one side, and nobody's checking names, and people have ad hoc rolled in. So I wouldn't check with them.
I mean, of course, if it doesn't interfere with one of the municipal meetings, right? I think,
No,
but
I mean,
I'd like to.
you know very well, those tables are long because there's at least 7 or 9 from the ministry and their staff. So there's that many spots on our side.
It's just another one that's near and dear to my
Yeah,
heart.
yeah, no, I appreciate you coming,
Because of the lack of, or the possibility of phones leaving the community and of the Highway 19 north to Port McNeil.
Yeah, no, happy to have you come.
Okay. All in favor? Director Mawhinney.
Thank you, Chair. And I really appreciate this really comprehensive spreadsheet thing here, but I was just curious, what's the expected timeline of being notified about the timing of when each of these meetings will take place? It's in the book. Oh, I didn't.
Yeah, you already have them, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, amazing. Thank you.
Okay, so all in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, motion is carried. Director Colburn, number 6.
Sorry, excuse me. Number 6, Fire Smart Community and Funding Supports Grant Award, that the report from the CAO be received.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, motion is carried. B.
I'm here for B this time. That the 2025-2029 financial plan be amended to incorporate $699.991 from the 2025-2026 Fire Smart Community Funding Supports Grant to fund the activities identified in the September 12th report from the CAO.
Second.
Director Chapman, discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, motion is carried. Director Von Esch, number 7.
Grant opportunity, adaptation and action, move that the report from the CAO be received.
Second.
Director Mawhinney, discussion. Director Sinnott.
Yeah, I think there was a motion, was it about 6 or 7 months ago, where I requested that if we're doing grant applications, that there be a supplementary statement from the CAO with respect to its adherence to the strategic planning and priorities of the board as a whole, and if there was going to be any supplementary impacts that we should be aware of.
Well, in support of trying to meet that request, you can see in the plan, and it says the regional district strategic plan and area of focus prioritize under climate resiliency, preparing our communities and residents to adapt and respond to emergency. So what I've tried to do is when we're making applications, ensure they adhere to that strategic plan and put them in the reports to identify that.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to, I think maybe we should have a discussion maybe about this another time. It'd just be nice to have, policy passed on such and such, A, B, checkbox, so we can see that that's been thought out. Because we did have that issue with that other report that came forward that caused us quite a bit of concern on poverty reduction. And so I just don't want us to end up into some sort of outcome that creates other barriers. I did a little bit of research on what the adaptation action could look like. I do have a few concerns because if some of the coastal erosion techniques restrict private landowners' upland or other uses on Cortes Island, we may not have been aware of those unexpected consequences. So I'm okay with this one. I'm just saying it gave me a little bit of a concern.
No, I appreciate, if I can, Mr. Chair, I appreciate that, but we've made it a priority to make sure when we have these applications based on that motion, that there is a line in here identifying how they meet the strategic plan and priorities.
On receipt, all in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, motion's carried. B.
I'll move that an application to the 2025 Adaptation Action Initiative Program be submitted in partnership with Klahoose First Nation and the Friends of Cortes Island to identify areas where nearshore restoration techniques could further reduce coastal erosion and other land-based impacts on the coastal ecosystem habitat, and that the regional district commit to overall management of the grant if the application is successful.
Second.
Director Moini, discussion. Director Lott?
No, I was going to second it.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, me there, Chair.
All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, motion is carried. Director Moini, number 8.
Thank you, Chair. Grant application, Active Transportation Infrastructure Program. Move that the report from the Chief Administrative Officer be received.
Second.
Director Colburn, discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, motion is carried. B.
I'll move B, that the Strathcona Regional District submit an application to the 2025 Active Transportation Infrastructure Program for grant funding to develop a multi-use pathway connecting the ferry terminal in Kwathiaski Cove to Harper Road and the Kwathiaski Cove Trail Network as identified within the Active Transportation Network Plan for Electoral Area C, and that the Regional District commit to overall management of the grant if the application is successful, and that if the application is successful, up to 30% of the project costs to a maximum of $97,000 be approved from the Electoral Area C Community Works Fund.
Director Lott, discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, motion is carried. Director Von Esch, number 9.
Cortez Island Multi-Use Sports Court BC Gaming Grant Matching Funds. Move that the report from the CAO be received.
Second.
So, Mr. Chair, just for board members that may not be aware, the SRD has supported a partnership in the multi-use sports court for Cortez, and now there's a grant application available for the association to apply for. It requires a endorsement of the SRD board, and this option A that we have within the report basically supports the previous board's motion to support the project. It's just ensuring that the resolution meets the criteria of the grant application, but what it does do is what the board has already committed us to within the partnership of the project.
Okay, on receipt, all in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, motion is carried.
I'll move option A, the SRD commit up to $100,000 from the Electoral Area B Community Works Fund to support the construction of the Cortez Island Multi-Use Sports Court, contingent upon a successful application to the BC Gaming Grant Capital Fund Program and an approved funding agreement between the SRD and the SCCA.
Director Lott, thank you. Further discussion? Director Von Esch.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to thank staff for making this possible. Obviously, there are a lot of partners making this project work, and this is another step forward for it. Thank you.
All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, motion is carried. We'll go Director Brown.
Oh, sorry, where am I going to start?
Number 10.
Oyster Riverbank. Oyster Riverbank Protection and Flood Protection Services. A, that the report from the Chief Administrator Officer be received.
Second.
Director Colburn, discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, motion is carried. B.
That the boundaries of the Oyster Bank Riverbank Protection Service be expanded to align with the boundaries of the Oyster River Flood Protection Service.
Second.
Director Colburn, discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, motion is carried. Number 11, Director Lott.
Number 11, electric car and bicycle charging station. I'd like to move that.
Your microphone, please.
It's on. You just got to.
Oh.
Robert.
Is that plugged in?
No, it is. This part needs to be pushed on that one sometimes. Yeah.
There you go.
Technological challenges, folks. Let me repeat that. Number 11, electrical car and bicycle charging station. I move that the report from the Chief Administrator Officer be received.
Second.
Director Moini, discussion? Director Colburn?
No, I'm going to do it the next one.
Okay, thanks for the warning. Director Sinnott?
Yes, thank you, Chair. I do note that this is talking about the rural areas, but rural areas, I don't understand why we wouldn't also include some of the smaller municipalities in terms of opportunities, because where the grid may be or may appropriately be, might be actually in Zabalas and things like that, which would help serve some rural areas. So is there a process by which this is going to maybe be expanded to look into the smaller municipalities as well?
Not without direction. So for example, if it said the smaller municipalities, I'm kind of stepping on the toes of, Zabalas. Let's say maybe they have supported it, maybe they don't, I don't know. So they have their own governance in there.
Well, I'd like to hear from Director Colburn, but it seems to me that we're regional and we're all here from those municipalities, so we can discuss this. Whether that's a broadening would be appropriate.
So if I can, Mr. Chair, like how about Campbell River? So would we look at putting in EV stations within the boundaries of Campbell River?
You already are at the gardens.
Oh, okay.
But
you just set me up because I got you on the other one.
But there could be opportunities. You do have buildings and properties in the city of Campbell River, like, for example, the construction at the hospital area. But it could be at the border of the two different zones, like, Jubilee Parkway, where it gets into Area D and as far as we go forward north. I don't know. It's just like, where's the grid and where's the connection points?
Yeah, it wouldn't add extra work, so it doesn't bother me there. So.
Yes. Oh, Director Davis. Okay. Director Mawhinney, then Director Davis.
Thank you, Chair. When I originated this motion, which came from the Electoral Area Services Committee, I was actually thinking about the small municipalities in the more rural areas of the regional district. And that was because we heard from our CAO at that meeting that there may be a constraint where you can't actually have less than 8 car charging stations in one location. That was a BC Hydro potential consideration. So I am very in favor of, if this motion wants to be expanded, to include any of the more outlying small municipalities, which would like some information.
Director Sinnott. Oh, sorry, Director Davis and then Director Sinnott.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. When I first read this, I was sort of questioning the definition of rural areas because we feel quite rural here. I would like to see it expanded to include smaller municipalities that don't really have the financial means to pull this off generally. That's my comment.
Thank you. Director Sinnott.
Yeah, and I think, as we discussed with the Strathcona Gardens, I made the request that we actually move the charging location to be closer to visibility lines with the police station, just for safety. And as we're talking about rural charging areas, it may end up being closer to little hubs where people can actually stop and go in, like coffee shops or places you can stop, gas bars, and as well as providing safety in the evening and later night. It just becomes that way with charging. I don't know whether you even want your charging stations to be very, very isolated for vandalism and other reasons as well.
Okay, on receipt, all in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, motion is carried. B.
I'd like to move that a report be prepared on opportunities for electric vehicle charging stations in the rural areas of the regional district, including updates on previously presented information on this matter.
Second.
I'm sorry, who seconded that? Director Colburn? Okay, thank you. Discussion. Director Colburn?
And that was going to be my question is what defines rural and what was that looked at? How was that looked at? So, I mean, if you needed direction, I also have a comment on, as always, on where Zabalas is located, coordination with Mount Waddington Regional District, because, that this is on our way too. And so I was just wondering how those would fit in. So give me a second and I'll try to figure out an amendment while you discuss amongst yourselves.
Well, while you're thinking, maybe I'll talk. I think adding, like, just direction that rural areas include smaller municipalities is, it's understood by me, and I don't think it's going to, change, or it's not more effort in including those areas. The conversation in terms of the EV chargers is Hydro, I believe, has a minimum of 8, and we've always discussed that we weren't interested in subsidizing the cost of these. So if hydros are free at 8, and we're obviously looking in smaller areas at less than that, then the report is going to talk to subsidizing the cost of, capital installation. And that wouldn't matter if you're in Electoral area or Zabalas, because you're both likely under 8 at these locations.
So for an amendment, I would put that a report be prepared on opportunities for electric vehicle charging stations in the rural areas, including smaller municipalities of the regional district, including updates on previous presented. Does that work? Just adding those 2 words.
I'll
So
second
that's
that.
the amendment.
Director Von Esch?
And speaking to it, I would hope that that would also include, yes, things like connecting with those municipalities, seeing what kind of work that they've done already, and if there's any co-planning or anything like that that can happen.
Okay, discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, motion is carried. Director Senate, number 12. Oh, amended. Sorry. As amended. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, motion is carried.
Yes, thank you, Chair. With respect to item 12, the quarterly report from the BC Ombudsperson, I make a motion that the report from the Chief Administrative Officer be received.
Second.
Director Colburn, discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, motion is carried. Director Merwini, bylaw number 1.
Bylaw number 621, permissive tax exemption for the Royal Canadian Legion. I'll move that the report from the Chief Administrative Officer be received.
Director Wally, discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, motion is carried. B.
Move that bylaw number 621, being a bylaw to provide an exemption from taxation for specified real property located on Quadra Island, be now introduced and read a first time.
Director Wally, discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, motion is carried. C.
Thank you, Chair. I will move that the rules be suspended and bylaw number 621 be given second and third readings.
Director Wally, discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, motion is carried.
And D, I will move that bylaw number 621, being the Royal Canadian Legion Property Tax Exemption Bylaw 2026, be now reconsidered, finally passed, and adopted.
Seeing none, motion is carried. B.
That bylaw number 622, being a bylaw to provide an exemption from taxation for specified real property located on Reed Island, be now introduced and read a first time.
Second.
Director Colburn, discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, motion's carried. C.
That the rules be suspended and bylaw number 622 be given second and third readings.
Second.
Director Colburn, discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, motion's carried.
And D, that bylaw number 622, being Surge Narrows Community Association Property Tax Exemption Bylaw 2026, be now reconsidered, finally passed, and adopted.
Second.
Director Colburn, discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, motion is carried. Correspondence.
Move receipt of the correspondence.
No, move on to. Do I have a second?
Second.
Director Merwini, discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, motion is carried. Okay. Members' report. Director Von Esch.
Cortez Island Food Security Hub CCAN refurbishment. I guess I'll make the report first. Basically this is an application from.
Second.
Discussion?
I was going to make a report.
Sorry.
There was a report attached to this item, and just to add to it for folks that didn't get to it entirely, this is an application from the food bank from Cortez. They have 2 sea cans that are on the Cortez Island Community Foundation land that they're refurbishing to be a distribution source for the food bank. They're currently running out of someone's garage. They're selling the property and are needing another option. And I've mentioned this before, but the stats across Canada, our food banks are getting used more and more, and then this is a kind of really important service. And the food bank's been really active, and they've been really active not only getting support as part of the food bank network, but really connecting local produce and providing healthy food for folks that really need it. So I will have a follow-up motion just asking staff to prepare a report on its eligibility and how this might fit into our strategic priorities.
Okay.
So I would move that the report from Director Vanesh regarding the gas tax funding application be received.
Second.
Thank you. Who's second? Director Senate, thank you. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, motion is carried. Go ahead, Director Vanesh.
Thank you, Chair. I move that staff prepare a report on the eligibility of this application and how we might move forward with it, assuming it's eligible.
Second.
Director Mawhinney, discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, motion is carried. Management report, none, new business. Mr. Vanesh.
Thank you, Chair. I was just looking for a simple report on the process of communities becoming incorporated. It's something I've done a little bit of research. I've been getting a lot of questions about it from my community, and just wanting to get a staff report that sort of outlines what the process would be, so my constituents can better understand it, and also the folks around this board table. So I will have a motion after that's received. Thanks.
Okay, of receipt. Discussion? Was it moved? Was it moved?
Move receipt of the report from Director Vanesh. The verbal
Second that.
report.
Second. Director Wally, discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, motion's carried.
I move that staff prepare a simple report just outlining the process of how a community might consider becoming incorporated.
Discussion? Director Chapman?
I think in that motion, we need to amend it to put the criteria as to what would involve. 'Cause I know Municipal Affairs a couple years ago had a policy, if the population was under 500, they would not consider it. So that's a criteria you have to meet.
Right. Appreciate that. We in that case, we're a population of 1,100, but I think that's kind of the staff report. If we weren't eligible, if Cortez wasn't eligible, then that might come up. But just looking for some of those details so that we all understand what the process is when a community wants to consider that.
Okay, further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, motion is carried. Director Colburn.
Closed session, that the report from the CAO be received.
Dr. Wally, discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, motion is carried.
And I would move B, that the meeting be closed to the public to consider matters deemed to fall within the parameters of subsections 91E, G, I, K, N, O, and 92C of the Community Charter.
Second.
Director Lott, discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, motion is carried.